Welcome to another exciting episode from Marvelous Videos. I'm your host, Tia Ayer, the Addams Family 1964 Explored. Welcome back to our channel as we have yet another fascinating video where we are going to explore the Addams Family in detail. So let us continue and find out why this is such a great show and what fans can expect from it. The Addams Family is perhaps the strangest, most macabre, and most entertaining fictional family there is. This comic strip turned TV series and movie franchise demonstrated to viewers that darkness need not equate to evil, and that as long as members can remain together, having an unconventional family is entirely okay. The Addams Family is gathered of misfits, each of who contributes something to the series in his or her own special manner. It compromises of strong female personas and energetic males. Since its start, this brand has grown into a hitch while preserving its enduring dark humor and Gothic Victorian aesthetic. The 2 seasons of the 30-minute black and white television show, which aired on ABC from the 18th of September 1964 to the 8th of April 1966, included a total of 64 episodes. This is a black humor sitcom inspired by the characters from The New Yorker by Charles Addams' drawings. The show was produced and created by David Levy along with Donald Saltzman. Vic Mizzy stepped up to write and sing the theme song for the show's premiere. Head writer Nat Perrin created the series at the General Service Studios based in Hollywood, California for Filmways Inc. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer now holds the copyrights to the series. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a very small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What the television series is all about. The Addams Family resides in a grand Gothic home that is just run down enough to have character. They primarily spend their lives here, only sometimes leaving to explore the outside world. Everything that they could possibly need is already in the house, and when it isn't, it is personally delivered in the form of parcels by the Thing, which is merely a hand and forearm. Their enormous and imposing butler, Lurch, will tackle everything that Thing cannot manage with one hand, Ted Cassidy, with the exception of the occasional or presentation of the newest home visitor. Lurch is tough, powerful, and timid around attractive young ladies. Lurch arrives in just a second with only one sound of the terrifying gong, but when Lurch sits down to play his beloved harpsichord for the family amusement, he freaks out. His stone face turns crazy or breaks down in tears as he gives himself over to the music. Grandma performs the cooking and the magic, and when she can get away with it, she also works as a phony fortune teller. While Uncle Fester is unemployed, he spends most of the time playing with the kids and, if necessary, managing home defense. Also consider that the father and mother are two overtly sexual hipsters who can't resist touching one another in 1964. Only the cascading jingle of the doorbell or ringing of the telephone could quell their irrational impulses. John Astin, played by the real Gomez Addams, and Carolyn Jones played Morticia. Everybody in the television series resembled their Chase Addams-designed New Yorker comic book equivalents in appearance. However, similarities ended with the chisel-faced John Astin and the moon-faced Carolyn Jones. The comedy character more closely resembled the angular looks of Angelica Houston, who portrayed Morticia in the movie filmed nearly 30 years later. In the comic, Gomez was significantly shorter as compared to his wife. Chubby with a double chin, melon head, an upturned nose, and middle-parted hair was side-shaved. It is quite possible that television viewers at the time found that gaze on a human being to be too intense. Jones and Astin, however, excelled in characterizing their roles. Even more, their on-screen connection seemed to be just as warm and loving as it was scandalous and seductive. Not a single episode went by when Gomez wasn't suddenly overcome by Morticia's charms, smothering in her hair and ravingly kissing her arm, hand, and shoulders before Morticia had to remind him of etiquette. More than a few times, the two would hurry to their bedrooms or their playroom in the basement when they could no longer control their urges. It's easy to assume that no one who participated in free love ever experienced the genuine affection, romance, excitement, desire, and sexiness that was frequently hinted at in this fictitious connection between Gomez and Morticia. Wednesday and Pugsley, the dear children, grew up with this and did not seem to have been hurt by it. Despite being young and childlike, their homeschooling gave them a better grasp on grown-up strangers and foreigners than the adults' outside world could. The comedy was much more than the occasional pleasant emotions. If it weren't for the Addams' inherent view on life, the novelty of their way of life, and the reoccurrence of their guests being startled by the same events every week, would grow pretty old really fast. The episodes remain engaging because of the Addams family's viewpoint on metropolitan America's struggles. The episodes of the old Addams Family are just as funny today as they were then, addressing topics that were relevant in the Kennedy-Johnson era, such as like-minded relatives visiting, problems with professionals like plumbers and doctors, dealing with local courts, and even squabbling with a spying federal government. Even my international friends who are separated by time, culture, and geography find the Addams Family singular viewpoint to be hilarious. The Addams way of life and interactions with the outside world was established by director Sidney Landfield, a former jazz musician. More than most other guest directors combined, he oversaw 48 of the Addams Family episodes. Of course, Charles Addams, the cartoonist, also kept the Addams Family on course and enjoyable for the readers who made the Homebody saga based on the Chaz Addams book and cartoon so successful.
You'd appreciate my leveling with you.
We do, Mr. Henry. Oh, I almost forgot the most important thing.
Main characters of the cartoon series. Let us learn more about the Addams Family and the characters in it. Gomez Addams, who is married to Morticia, was the father of Pugsley and Wednesday, was the lead of the Addams Family and the patriarch. He was Grandmama's son in the 1960s comedy, but this was changed in the 1991 movie to keep up with the comics, and he was made Grandmama's son-in-law. He was changed in the movies to become Fester's younger brother rather than his nephew-in-law. In the New Yorker's initial drawings, he had a receding chin, a snub nose, and tubby features. Gomez gushed about how much he loved his wife Morticia. One reoccurring joke about him was that he took immense satisfaction in losing his cases despite having been trained to be a lawyer and rarely practicing. He was also happy that his law school had chose him as the student who was the least likely to be clear of the bar. Gomez was portrayed as having a significant amount of fortune because of his inheritance and investments, yet he appeared to have little respect for money. Despite having a ticker tape machine in the living room because of his extensive stock market investments, he played the market essentially to lose or invest in strange schemes that unintentionally resulted in significant profits, wetland discovered to have oil beneath it, etc. According to one novel, Gomez acquired his money after learning how to make a profit on the stock market and using his Maccabi sense of humor. Despite his morbid sense of humor, he was exceedingly kind and would often go beyond his way to aid anyone he considered a friend. Gomez, who is of Castilian descent, enjoyed smoking cigars and playing naughty with model trains. Addams responded that he felt that the character had a little of Spanish blood in him. When asked why, he offered to be named Gomez for the character. Gomez was the only name Charles Addams recommended for the family that was not ghoulish, in the fashion of Morticia or Fester. But Addams couldn't decide whether the character should be Italian or Spanish. He made the decision that his name should be Gomez if he were Spanish and Rapelli if he were Italian, even though both are originally surnames. Actor John Astin made the ultimate decision about the first name. Gomez frequently appeared in traditional office attire that is no longer in style, like spats and pinstripe suits. Coming to Morticia Addams, or From, the matriarch of the Addams family, was dressed in a well-fitted black ankle gown with tendrils like that of the octopus at the hem. According to specific sources, Morticia was a slender woman with a pale complexion that could just be a vampire. She loved Gomez just as much as he loved her. Gomez and Morticia have 2 kids, a girl named Wednesday and a son named Pugsley. According to legend, Wednesday got her name from the line, "Wednesday's kid is full of sadness," in Monday's Child, a famous poem. Friday, her middle name, matches the poem's version from 1887. She portrayed a kind-hearted, naive, and content youngster on television who mainly was worried about her terrifying pet spiders. Her doll, Marie Antoinette, which Pugsley guillotined, was a beloved toy. The films chose to give Wednesday a way more mature and serious personality with deadpan humor and a Maccabi fascination towards attempting to physically hurt or possibly murder her brother. She was seen, for example, strapping him into an electric chair and getting ready to pull the switch. She was reportedly frequently successful, but Pugsley never passed away. He appeared to be extraordinarily resistant like the majority of the family. On the other hand, Pugsley was either mostly unaware of the suffering his sister attempted to inflict on him or was a fervent supporter of it, regarding all attempts as amusing and playful. Pugsley was initially portrayed as a devilish, evil boy next door in the New Yorker cartoons. Pugsley played an imaginative and technical genius in the TV show that was a loving elder brother. He turned Wednesday's henchman and younger brother in the movies, gladly aiding her in all of her wicked actions, losing his brains and individuality in the process. Pugsley matured into a prodigy in chemistry, especially explosives and machines, while at times his intelligence looked underdeveloped. Wednesday became a cheerful and relatively hopeful youngster while maintaining her sophisticated demeanor from the movies. The kids seemed to be homeschooled, getting all of their homeschooling from Grandma or Uncle Fester. Although an earlier attempt to enroll them in the neighborhood primary school failed, they are shown attending it in the later episodes of the TV show. The kids in the first movie went to an elementary school, and Wednesday received recognition for her performance there. With assistance from their uncle, both kids participated in school programs. They were on summer break from school in the second film, and Pugsley was retained as a little child in the Broadway musical, whereas Wednesday reached an age of roughly 18 years old. Talk about Uncle Fester now. Fester has a sinister grin, dark sunken eyes, and a barrel-shaped head free of hair. He appeared to be electrically charged since he could ignite a bulb by placing it in his mouth. Fester served as Morticia's uncle in the classic television series, but came out as Gomez's elder brother in the 1991 movie and all related cartoons and cinematic media. Both of the very first two full-length movies featuring the character prominently. The Addams Traditions focused on Fester's romance with Deborah or Debbie Jelensky. In contrast, the Addams Family featured his reunion with the rest of the Addams Family after a span of 25 years. Grandmama, who is also a witch, specialized in hexes, potions, charms, and even fortune-telling. She is Gomez's mother. Her scarf and her frizzy gray hair served as her brand emblems. The inconsistent nature of Grandmama's ancestry was made fun of in the 2010 stage musical adaptation of The Addams Family. Morticia and Gomez each admitted in one scene that they thought that she was the other one's mother. Her ghostly son Eduardo was unknown to the public. The phantom hand known as the Thing is yet another part of the Addams Family. Since they were kids, Thing and Gomez have been friends. He emerged from common boxes or other handy storage areas about the house. He used a Morse-like code, writing, sign language, tapping on wood, and other methods to communicate with the Addams. Ted Cassidy often portrayed Thing in the original television series. The actor also portrayed Lurch. Thing was a completely functional hand that had been clearly severed just below the wrist in the movies and on the new Addams Family, even though no bone or muscle was ever exposed. Though he was also depicted as living in a cigar box, he actually resided in the closet of an attic that had been turned into a dwelling within a house. Although Cassidy was a naturally right-handed person, he occasionally used his left hand just to check if anyone noticed. The Addams Family had a tall, ghastly manservant named Lurch in addition to the Thing. Although he is a sizable jack of all trades, Lurch serves as a lumbering, gravely voiced butler who has a passing resemblance to Frankenstein's monster. He attempted to assist around the home, occasionally failing to owe to his immense size and power. However, the Addams still find him to be rather charming due to his talent for more intimate jobs like grooming Uncle Fester's head, as well as making the kids laugh, to whom he was unconditionally devoted to. Surprisingly, he was frequently observed trying to play the harpsichord and the organ with a high level of skill and slightly out-of-character zeal. Lurch didn't have a voice in the original comics. He could speak in the sitcom. When called by a new-shaped rope that made a loud gong, he would respond with his trademark monotonous gruff, "And beso profundo, you rang." Cousin It, who regularly visited the household, was short-statured with long hair that encompassed his entire body right from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet in the movies and pinball games. It was spelled Cousin It. He was noted for speaking in an obnoxious, incomprehensible babble that only families seemed to be able to comprehend. It served as a mega spy for the American government in the second cartoon series. After the Addams children abandoned Margaret Alfred's husband, Tolley, he fell madly in love with her and they got married. What is the name of the kid he and Margaret have, according to the obstetrician's response? While there were a number of references to strange and unusual animals in the sitcom like bats, hawks, and alligators, there were a few that held true across the many mediums in which the actors have since featured.
Nonsense, dear. Didn't you hear the reporter admit he was seeing things?
Oh, of course.
The Addams Family cartoon cast. The Addams Family had a terrific casting in due respect to that time. Carolyn Jones played the dynamic Morticia Addams, or Nay Frump. John Aston played the passionate Gomez Addams. Jackie Coogan played the exuberant uncle of Morticia Addams, while Ted Cassidy played the role of Lurch. Marie Blake played the witchy Grandmama Addams, or Gomez's mother. Lisa Loring played the bizarre yet sweet little girl Wednesday. The Addams Family's youngest member, Ken Weatherwax, played Wednesday's kind-hearted, chubby, and intelligent brother Pugsley Addams. Felix Sela and Roger Arroyo played Gomez's diminutive cousin It. Ellen Corby played the role of Mother Lurch.
One thing's certain, there's no oil on it.
Interesting facts about the show. There are a few aspects about the Addams Family that you might not be aware of, and they're frightening, mysterious, creepy, and quirky. Did you know that the set designers had to paint the Addams Family set in various hues of red and pink in order to produce the ideal blend of blacks and grays in the Addams home for black and white television? Although The Addams Family from the 1960s was the most well-known TV adaptation, it only broadcast 64 episodes and did not receive massive ratings. The show has ever since been given several attempts to return. An animated series debut followed by a Saturday morning cartoon in 1973, a made-for-TV reunion film in 1977, along with the new Addams Family around 1998. The Addams Family Funhouse is a musical variety series. Ted Cassidy, a 6'5" actor, portrayed the gigantic butler Lurch for the Addams Family. In the show, he also performed the role of the Thing. Certainly his hand did. The pet disembodied hand of the Addams Family Thing dwelt in a box. The props department had coated John Astin's coat pockets with asbestos, since Gomez would frequently put his lighted cigars into them. The inside of the Addams home was modeled after Charles Addams' actual Manhattan abode, which had oddities like collections of vintage crossbows and armored costumes. Uncle Fester was first passed over to Jackie Coogan. After shaving his head, he went home and created his own Fester outfit and makeup, and he was given the part as the result.
Remember Camp Custer for preteen offenders.
The Addams Family and Other Media. The Addams Family Funhouse, a variety show adaptation of the 1973 TV show, had every part recast in the pilot produced by ABC. Although the pilot was broadcast as a special, it did not go on to a series. Along with Stubby Kaye, Pat McCormick, and Butch Patrick, whose casting was ironic given that he portrayed the role of little Eddie Munster in a rival show, The Munsters, that aired next to The Addams Family to better ratings. Riley and Liz Torres, who also authored the special, played Gomez and Morticia. Scooby-Doo meets The Addams Family, which features Astin, Jones, Coogan, and Cassidy. Returning to voice their TV characters were included in a well-liked segment of the new Scooby-Doo movies from 1972. For their own series, Hanna-Barbera was urged to introduce family to animation. 11 years after the original series had been canceled, NBC aired Halloween with the new Addams Family, a special reunion of the Addams Family 1964 cast, with the exception of Blossom Rock, who played Grandmama and had passed away. Meanwhile, everyone resumed their respective roles. Raul Julia played Gomez in the $30 million film The Addams Family 1991, which also included Angelica Houston as Morticia, Christina Ricci as Wednesday, Christopher Lloyd as Fester, Jimmy Workman as Pugsley, Judith Malina as Grandma, and Carol Struycken as Lurch. The movie was a massive hit with audiences and critics worldwide, earning $191 million at the global box office and inspiring computer games and a fresh cartoon. Due to its contemporary sensibilities, excellent production standards, and a lighter tone, this movie is frequently regarded as the most favored iteration of the franchise. A new animated version produced by Hanna-Barbera once more and featuring John Astin as Gomez was shown on ABC in 1991 as a result of the popularity of the Addams Family motion picture. It had Angelica Houston as Morticia, Rip Taylor as Fester, Carol Channing as Grandma, Jim Cummings as Lurch, Debbie Derryberry as Wednesday, while Jeannie Elias was partnered with Nancy Linari, playing Pugsley. The show had 2 seasons. It was expected that Paramount Pictures would swiftly approve a remake of the Addams Family film in 1993 after seeing a threefold return on investment at the box office in 1991. Raul Julia's unexpected death in 1994 from complications after a stroke may have prevented one from happening. The Addams Family Reunion, a feature-length comedy pilot that was sometimes mistaken for a less expensive continuation of Sonnenfeld's 2 films, was marketed as a direct-to-video film following a creative rethink, but things did not go as planned. The new Addams Family, an American-Canadian comedy that aired for 65 episodes, one more than the adored 1960s original, is one of the most underappreciated iterations of the frightening family. The Addams Family Musical, a show penned by Broadway stalwarts Rick Ellis and Marshall Brickman, with songs by Andrew Lippa, is based on the original drawings by Charles Addams. Work on the musical began in 2007. The Addams Family Animated Movies was the moniker given to it. Around 2010, Illumination Entertainment and Universal Pictures purchased the Addams Family rights in the hopes of creating a stop-motion animated remake of Charles Addams' classic cartoons. Tim Burton, who had previously been considered to helm the 1991 film, was supposed to produce and helm, but by 2013, it was said to have fallen through. After Barry Sonnenfeld was chosen to take over as the director of the 1990s Addams Family films, Tim Burton will finally play a part in the eccentric family as Wednesday, a new Netflix TV series from the writers Miles Millar, Smallville, and Alfred Gu. Morticia Addams and Gomez will be portrayed by Catherine Zeta-Jones and Louis Guzman, respectively, alongside Jenny Ortega playing Wednesday.
Hold it. Ready?
The madhouse of sitcoms. The Addams' cultural conflict with the entire world accounts for a large portion of the humor. Even when the visitors express perplexity, fear, or dismay at the house's decor and the presence of Lurch and the Thing, they always treat regular visitors with warmth and kindness. The family often ignores the malicious intents of certain visitors and is unharmed. The frightened responses of their own amusement and to them typical conduct have the Addams perplexed. As a result, they have a typical forgiving mistrust of traditional tastes. Visitors at the Addams almost always want to exit and never return. The family finds beauty in the horrific, which gives them a unique viewpoint and unexpected comedy that has helped them to endure throughout the years and in many different guises. Thanks to it, they now have devoted followers and a permanent position in the annals of American entertainment. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.